Thank you very much. This is very interesting topics of our panel discussion. And can you imagine 3 hours ago, 3 hours from Warsaw, this is Ukraine. There is a still war. Otherwise, war change our perception, accelerate technology. Part of this war, this is also IT. This is also optimization. We discuss so much about, energy efficiency, how to optimize typical customer behavior. But in our team of our panelists, we have excellent combination. This is VC, this is Andy, and this is Cynthia from NATO. NATO, this is the new player also for the acceleration of the technology. This is new innovation fund, which is a setup. And this is the excellent agency, which I believe Cynthia also explained us, which concentrate on the digitalization, which concentrate on the acceleration of the new technology. We know very well this war beginning from the energy war. And this war in Ukraine educate us so much. And this is one of the mega trends which change completely economy model in this part of the world, in Central Eastern Europe and European Union. But we are lucky. We have this panel today, and there is no problem to organize this conference, like, for example, in Kiev. Why? Because this is also NATO. Thank you, Cynthia. And soon NATO will be 70 years anniversary. But it will be very interesting also understood this vision, how to use digitalization's process, how to use optimizations from your point of view, what is the investment hypothesis from perspective of the Diana Center in NATO. And so let's start from your perspective and from perspective of the 70 years old organization. Soon will be anniversary and summit in Vilnius.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you very much. Really pleased to be here today. So just to quickly explain, I think there's been interest below downstairs to try and understand why is NATO here? What is Diana? What are our aims and objectives? So I think it'd probably be helpful just to give a little bit of background and why energy we're here today at this particular summit. So Diana is known as the Defence Innovation Accelerator for the North Atlantic. It is a new NATO body. We are currently in our pilot year. The aims and objectives for Diana is to kind of encourage and develop the innovation ecosystem, particularly around emerging and disruptive technologies. And the key thing here is about how can we leverage that innovation to help solve our defense and security problems, of which there are many. We have a prioritized list of kind of the technologies that we're interested in. AI, data, energy, obviously, but quantum, biotech, there's a long list and you can look at that at your own free will on the NATO website. Excuse me. What we're trying to offer is to say that, if the solutions are here amongst you and downstairs. And what we want to say is come to us, you've got the innovations, that potential solutions to our problems now. And what you get in return is access to an acceleration program where you get a grant funding. You'll have access to end users to test and validate your proposed solutions.
You have in Poland 8 test centers. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and potential access to trusted investors as well, because we want to build up a trusted investor database. Alongside that, you'll get business monitoring, because we're trying to appeal particularly to kind of startups and small businesses where they will benefit from that mentoring. We also think that, it would help startups particularly to understand a bit more about the defense and security market and kind of the challenges that we face. And underpinned as please tell me if I pronounce your name wrong. Greg says, there's going to be several accelerator sites. dotted throughout the alliance geographically, but underpinned by that is going to be a whole network of, currently we've got over 100 test centres, of which quite a few are in Poland, thank you. And, these are, the prime laboratories or facilities to go and test your technology against, and also to help develop them. And I think that's kind of the key thing that we're trying to offer here. And I think hopefully that's a good and interesting deal. But the potential bonus really comes right at the end is if your technology actually helps us solve our problems, you've got 31 nations, hopefully 32 at some point soon, if Sweden comes in, where you've got contracts. You've got 31 government entities wanting to place contracts, potentially, to take on board that technology. So, yeah. And it's a massive market. It's spanning from the North Atlantic all the way through to Eastern Europe. That's a massive global market there ready.
Yeah. It will be a real impact activity. Thank you very much. We remember what was the effect of the Manhattan program, and I believe for the speed up of the technology, especially quantum computing, artificial intelligence, it will be very interesting accelerator. But let's come back to real world, also to VC. Andy, what do you think from your perspective, from perspective of your Speedinvest venture fund, what will be the most important investment hypothesis today from the perspective of the optimalizations of our resources?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. And I noted that. I think that 31 countries to sell to is actually a good value proposition for everyone who ever sold to governments and knows how painful that is. So, yeah, just as a quick recap, I think, so we do early stage technology investments, and deep tech and climate tech and industrial tech is a major part of that. I have a portfolio of around 350 companies across Europe. Are quite young, 12 years, not 70 yet, hopefully one day. And I think what is important for us, I mean, the whole energy transition, and it's also the reason I'm here, right, is for us a major theme. And I think there will be a lot of things happening and transforming the European economy, the way we produce things, the way we get around, the way we build things, the way we live. I think there will be so many industries completely transformed over the next decades, away from a fossil fuel economy to a zero carbon economy. And this is for us a major theme where we want to do more investments. We have done a lot of investments in that space, but for us this is very a big theme in general. What does this mean? So we look at a few sectors in specific. For us, this is on the one hand energy transition, on the other it's electrified smart mobility, agriculture, food, real estate, construction, and manufacturing and circular economy. So how can we reduce consumption, reuse materials, and recycle materials better? So those are the main themes that we look at, and within that we have done around 25 investments over the last 2-3 years. That's the sub-portfolio of the total. So I think those are the main areas where we think we can become way more efficient. So we not only have to transform those sectors, we also will become way more efficient. One example, if you look at the German industrial output last year, 2022, it actually rose a bit by like a few percentage points. But energy consumption decreased by 20+%. So you see there is in all of those sectors a lot of slack in there because we never paid attention to it, because it was cheap, it was available, it was not an issue. And I think now if we really look at how precious some materials are, and if we look at energy prices, so there are a lot of factors that will transform businesses and really look at efficiency. How can it become more efficient, from energy management to reusing and recycling of materials, so a lot of different other factors. And this is something where we currently and the last months actually spend a lot of time on. So I think this is a key theme.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting, and I think this is one of the most important aspects to create the future reindustrialization Europe. This is very, very interesting aspect. You remember what happened after COVID? Yes, this logistic aspect. Yes, lack of IT, lack of this logistic infrastructure also. What do you think about the best case, which you know from your perspective, especially from your portfolio, as an optimization of the effect? Yes.
So I brought two examples. I think so. One is our portfolio company. It's called Twice. They are based in Munich. They do software for battery analytics, actually, for lithium-ion batteries, for mobility as well as storage. And what they basically do is you can use their technology for multiple use cases. You, on the one hand, can use their technology to analyze different cell types and battery types and already in the R&D process, when planning a new battery, when planning a new vehicle, etc. You can also use it to monitor batteries out there on the fleet, so get a real-time insights on a cell-specific level on how it degrades, how it behaves, etc. So you can basically extend the lifetime of a battery by having more insights. And the same you can do for storage, but also to certify used batteries in EVs, for example. So there's a lot of interesting data on the battery that Twice is using to use their software, for example, to optimize consumption and use of batteries. The second is a company called Resourcify. They're based in Hamburg in Germany. They a software, so basically digitizing the whole value chain around recycling. So as a corporate partner, for example, one of their customers, for example, is Rewe, big German, largest German retailer, gets an overview of all their waste streams. So not only from cardboards to glass and everything that gets sorted at the retail facility already, but you can onboard all your recyclers, you get an overview of all your waste streams, and then you can also monitor the whole waste streams across the whole value chain. So basically, when it comes to the recycler, you can reuse it, etc. So you can close the loop once you have an overview of your whole waste streams. And everyone who has ever been in touch with recycling knows how cumbersome that industry is. It is non-digitized at all, very regional, and most of stuff still lands at landfill or incinerators, right? And this is how it's done at the moment. So I think there's a lot of potential of first create transparency, and then close the loop and really reusing more materials and recycling more materials.
Thank you very much. Cynthia, what do you think, from your perspective, artificial intelligence or quantum computing, it's play important role for the optimizations process or the strategy of Diana Center? What is your perspective from that point of view?
Thank you. I think in the context of particularly, the energy world, picking up on what Andreas said earlier, defense probably has one of the biggest journeys to go through, moving from hydrocarbons, on which it is hugely reliant, to something that is, that's going to meet kind of carbon net zero in the future, in the near future, and digitization and optimization of that really helps, because we don't really understand our energy usage, but we need to. We need to make sure that we use our resources more efficiently. And that means, we need to think about how, when we build our capabilities, we build in with kind of that efficiency in mind, where AI, et cetera, and quantum will come to play, so that we have that better understanding about how we can better optimize our operations and our missions and deliver our core tasks and deliver security. So I'm not here to be the solutioneer, but we're kind of interested in to see what others can kind of come forward and help us with. But all of those things, defense is no different from any of the other industries, be it heavy industry, transport, whatever. We face those same challenges, and that's where we're here today to say.
This is very interesting, because always defense sector generates so many technology which will be adopted to civil engineering aspect. Small modular reactor first was on the submarine, yes, and I think, what is your perspective from current situations? We know this historical Manhattan Project. What will be this transfer of this technology to help optimizations of the typical civil engineering process?
If I may.
Energy, of course.
Yeah. If I may, I was going to say it's the other way around. What we're saying is that, you know, the solutions are out there in the civil and commercial sector. And one thing those of you who've ever had to deal with government, clearly, will know is that the development of that technology, particularly in the defence sector, is not keeping pace with the innovation change, and we need to, because all of that innovation, well, most of the innovation is happening elsewhere, and so we want to say, you know, please come join us, because we think you've got the solutions, and here's an opportunity. So I think I'd rather flip it the other way around, if I may.
Yeah. I think it's a good opportunity for the many kind of startup which they working now on the very interesting technology. Also, open opportunity for the completely other industry. It's a very exciting. What you offer, because you have also this mentoring program. Yes, you have also this acceleration program. Can you tell us much more about this?
Yeah, so these are ideas that we would like to develop and we'll hopefully launch certainly towards the later part of this year, is that, you've got the acceleration program, which I mentioned would be kind of business mentoring, education, business development, all of those classic things that you would expect from an accelerator program. But the mentoring, mentoring from other kind of companies, mentoring from investors, mentoring from, I don't know, IP legal experts and things like that. That's what we try to offer to startups and kind of small businesses, because we want to kind of make them a success. That's key at the end of it. And you'll get some grant funding to help you develop your technology as well. So I think that's in the first instance absolutely key.
Yeah, thank you. And what do you think from your perspective, this new innovation aspect, like quantum, like artificial, like data mining? It will be very interesting new investment hypothesis from your institution's perspective.
Yes, definitely. So quantum and I already hate saying AI but there are so many things. But yeah, those are areas where we've been investing in for years. And also, I would say new leapfrog technologies as well in fusion and others where we do invest. So we have an own deep tech team where we really, as stupid as it sounds, try to invest in the next moonshot cases that really can transform a sector or leapfrog and technological advancement. And for us, it's definitely interesting. It's a very different game, though, than investing in a lot of other software or consumer or marketplace investments. Very longer cycles, very different investment, I would say, landscape. And there, actually, the governments play a very important role. I think VCs usually complain about the governments a lot, but in those cases, especially in deep tech, if you look at quantum and others, there is actually a lot of things happening on the governmental side, either on an EU level, or also if you look at the German government investing in fusion or grants in quantum, etc., that are millions and tens of millions of euros that really help those companies to develop their projects. And I think there it plays an important role, especially in the whole energy transition as well.
Thank you very much. Time for some questions from our audience. Yes?
I agree that AI is typically used as a buzzword. I agree that AI is typically used as a buzzword these days. My question would be, how do you see the risks associated with autonomous generative AI impacting the energy sector? Because it's very different than how, let's say, narrow-scoped AI impacts predictive analytics, for example. When you have an autonomous AI agent that now has some autonomy over an energy grid, making independent decisions, the impact for that can be very interesting. What would be your response to this?
Cynthia? Yeah.
I kind of absolutely agree with you. With all innovation development, there are opportunities, but there are also threats, and that is particularly one of them. And so, with AI, as you say, you've got to also spot those. You've got to be intelligent enough to spot the anomalies and work out, actually, are they real or not? And so I think that's kind of one thing. And so how can we do that? And I think that's that's a challenge that faces, every defence government around in the NATO alliance. So I don't have the solution, hence I'm looking to all of you. But that's kind of my kind of initial take on that.
I think you touch a very interesting point, because from the energy sector perspective, don't worry, artificial intelligence. You remember case of UK, for example, a few years ago. The average price was 470 UK pounds per 1 megawatt, but something happened and they buy on the emergency market from Belgium, 1 megawatt, 1,572 UK pounds. That was not artificial intelligence. That's a mistake of the politics. And I think we should worry about politics, about our regulation, but not artificial intelligence. Okay?
I think the challenge is that it's going to be difficult to spot the anomalies, especially since gaining AI agent alignment. The biggest problem right now faced by, let's say, generative AI in the community is actually making sure that the AI, generative AI in this case, large language models, are aligned with human values. And what we found is that even those who are most closely associated with this technology have no idea what's happening within the black box. So what that means is that anyone outside of that community being able to spot any anomaly is going to be quite difficult if the folks who are even on the inside of the community can't spot what the problem is. Because if inside of itself, it's not aligned with human values, but it presents as such, then we have issues.
Yeah, that's the question, how to organize flexibility market, how to organize cooperations with TSO, and how to set up this kind of rules for the energy security. That's the basic question, how to educate this system, yes? Because today, for example, Poland electricity market not exist. We have excellent Nord Pool market on the Baltic state, UK, it's working, and NASDAQ buy this Nord Pool several years ago. It's very interesting how to generate and how to educate this artificial intelligence to help us to prevent potential blackout. This is basic aspect. How to also create the balance market, which is also not exist. Can you imagine Baltic state, they member of the NATO, they member of the European Union, they have euro as a currency, but from the 25 years, they member of the Russian energy zone. That's the problem. We not optimize our energy efficiency. This is the aspect. I think this digitalization, this optimization should be prepared by very good rules. That will be very important. We should not give artificial intelligence educate by self, by the data mining, but prepare this kind of rules. Sorry.
Sounds optimistic enough and ironic in a way, because on the one hand we are saying that AI is a buzzword, but at the same time the latter half of the discussion is that there are major concerns in the room already, and we are talking about values in the context of a buzzword, aren't we?
Exactly.
Any more
next
questions?
question. Yeah, next question.
Anyone? Ladies and gentlemen, you're much encouraged to ask questions. We still have like 5 minutes or so.
It's a very interesting, I think, solutions to discuss with Cynthia, because this innovation fund of NATO, this is completely new institution with 5 billion euro probably.
1 billion for now.
1 billion, okay, 1 billion, maybe will be more. But this is very interesting, yes, and this aspect of the investment activity related to defense sector, public sector, this is very good solutions for the completely new generations of startup, of the technology. It will be sooner or later also transferred to civil sector. Maybe you tell us more about this initiative.
Okay, so one thing I need to clarify is that the NATO Innovation Fund, which is, as I said, 1 billion euros at the moment.
At the moment,
is set up separately from Diana, but it's there. It's got like a 10 to 15 year horizon where it is there purposefully to try and invest in those emerging deep tech technologies that I talked about earlier, those kind of 9 priority areas, to kind of help stimulate that innovation ecosystem within the NATO alliance. So they work alongside, but they are not part of Diana. So I just thought it'd be helpful to clarify that.
but still in the NATO structure.
Absolutely. So you could think of it as a kind of a NATO sovereign wealth fund, if you could describe it as that. But that's kind of the principle with which it was established.
Andy, what do you think in that kind of investment hypothesis, how to use this also defense technology to the future transfer for the optimizations of the typical civil process? It will be interesting from the VC to cooperate with such as an anchor investor maybe in such a project.
I learned so much today. We don't really do defense technology for a reason. I mean, I'm not only saying that because I'm Austrian and Austria is not even NATO member. That's a different discussion. For us, we do invest in use cases. I think that could be interesting and could be relevant for government institutions and also for military applications going forward, but not particular in projects that purely focus on military applications. At least for now, maybe that changes.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because, for example, United States, this sector, defense sector, is an accelerator for the private activity. But what do you think, from your perspective, this optimizations, this potential transfer for the civil sector, especially for the energy or that kind of, utilities activity? This is also part of the investment hypothesis when you analyze, for example, some new hub, a new tech center. Did you have some horizon perspective? What will be potential applications also for not only in the defense sector?
I think that our focus is we need help to solve defense and security problems. However, as we know, that there are opportunities that also spin out from that. And so I think, we couldn't say that absolutely we wouldn't kind of think, oh, well, actually, there's kind of some sort of really innovative technology there that we haven't thought about trying to apply it in a different use case, and how that might also revolutionize kind of the civil sector as well. So I think, the opportunity is there to do that, but at the moment, our kind of initial objective and aim is, right, we've got some problems, we've got some really big problems, particularly in energy, but there are other challenges as well that we will hope to launch as well at the same time in a few months. And yeah, help us there.
Okay, so any questions maybe from audience? No? So thank you so much.
Thank you. If not, I have one more question, if I may. Cynthia, this one will be addressed to you, because the topic of the discussion is how can digitalization help us optimize operations and use resources wisely? You've been described a number of times by Grzegorz as the new player, so to say, in this context. But when you look at those two areas, operations, optimizing operations and using resources wisely, what do you see as the biggest bottlenecks, the things that you find really annoying in the current context?
Everything. Obviously, defense is like any massive sector. It's not just people, when people hear word operations, they tend to think like deployed overseas, fighting wars and what have you. That's not the case. We also need to generate energy or power for our kind of home activities, be it training, be it whatever. Living, how do we provide renewable energy for kind of living quarters? All of those things, it's kind of all aspects defense kind of covers. It's not just the kind of the war fighting, operations, missions piece. And so kind of when it comes to efficiency, absolutely, we have to use those resources wisely. We need to be able to be self-sufficient. We need to have the energy when we need it. And it needs to be available and sufficient and hopefully clean in the years to come. And so, yeah, I would say that all of it is up for grabs, potentially in terms of where we want to go.
And all of it in your mind is more like a part of the sustainable future than wishful thinking on our part.
Sustainable future, we've got, all of the 31 allies that make up NATO, we're all committed to the climate change agenda and the sustainability goals, and defense has got a key part to play in that. So yes.
Cynthia, Andreas, Grzegorz, thank you so much for a super interesting discussion. Thank you.